Hey everyone, it's Jeff Phillips. I'm here with Roger Harris and a very special guest. We are at Truist Park at the Battery in Atlanta, home of the world champion Atlanta Braves. And I have to tell you, I'm a lifelong Atlanta Braves fan. You may know that about me. I love the Braves. Roger actually loves the Braves too, so we bonded over that instantaneously when I started here. We have an incredibly special conversation today with the president and CEO of the Atlanta Braves, Schiller. Derek, we're excited to have a conversation with you about business and sports and how it relates to our franchisees. But I first have to tell you, my first game at the Atlanta Braves was in Fulton County Stadium. I think it was 1981. I was 5 years old. I could tell you right now the starting lineup of that team, who they played. I can't remember the score, but I love the Braves, always have. I can remember where I was sitting in 1991 when Sid Bream crossed home plate against the Pirates for their first National League Championship Series. So we are just thrilled to be able to bring this to you and have a conversation with Derek about what it is like running a professional sports team and how it relates to our businesses and how we serve small businesses. Derek is the president and CEO of the Braves, like I said, 17 years with the Braves, yep. Has a career in sports management, including with the Atlanta Thrashers and even the Olympics when it was here, hosted in Atlanta, and has an engineering degree from Vanderbilt University. Derek, first of all, thank you so much for having this conversation with Roger and me. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, glad you guys are here. You get tickets a little easier in 81 than you can today, but yeah. Glad you're a fan since then, and welcome to Truist Park.
In 81, you used to be able to take an igloo cooler full of Cokes and sandwiches into the Fulton County Stadium. I guess you can't do that anymore.
Don't encourage that anymore. Different days.
Derek, so you have an engineering degree from Vanderbilt. Talk about what your plans were coming out of college and how you ended up in the world of professional sports.
I don't know exactly what I was going to do with my engineering degree. I suppose today, fast forward, you could say I'm a failed engineer. But I thought, in all seriousness, when I was getting the engineering degree, I thought it was a good degree because it seemed very practical to me. It seemed like a degree where you could utilize the skill sets. And even today, I actually work really hard to actually utilize that degree. And in ways that I don't sort of think about, like, I'm in the sports business, but engineering degrees teach you how to think, teach you how to problem solve, and so I do use it every day.
Let me ask you a question. You're the CEO, but you've had multiple different positions along your career. We coach our franchisees, everybody watching this, on getting out of the weeds and behaving like a visionary of their business. And while our franchisees wear multiple hats, they need to spend part of their time working on the business, not in the business.
Sure.
So I just wanted to ask you if you could talk about, how do you create balance in your career about getting out of the weeds, seeing the big picture, being a visionary for your organization?
Yeah, first, when you think about the Braves, obviously you think about a baseball team, and people don't necessarily look at it this way, but we're really a live event business, okay? So we encourage people to come into our ballpark, and we put on a product which happens to be a baseball game. And there's a lot of intricacies to it, of course. I'm simplifying it. But at the heart of it, it's a live event business. And as such, it's very operational centric. There's all kinds of things that happen in order to manage and operate this facility. So the tendency in our positions like mine, is to be very operational. And I think that's one of the things that perhaps relates a little bit to the business that you guys are in. My goal when I think about my day is to try to cede the operational business and the operational skill sets to somebody with that expertise so that I can focus on strategy. And so I think about each and every day, what am I doing to think about short-term, long-term strategic visioning of the Atlanta Braves and our broader business. And that's kind of my approach. I'm not always, satisfied with that, or it doesn't always happen that way, but I do try to look at it.
In our business, sometimes our owners are playing the role of visionary, and they're doing tax returns and they're meeting with clients. We try to tell them, you want to build an organization to cede responsibility to experts in different fields. Like, I've never seen you play second base for the Braves last time I checked.
That's accurate.
Part of the strategy must be just finding the right talent, putting them in the right positions, letting them be the experts and getting the work done.
For sure. There's obviously the skill sets that it takes to play the game, which are, well beyond, as you put it, well beyond things like we can do in the front office. But we do think about the roles that each of us have in this front office and how we can support that business even better. So said a different way, this entire business of professional sports has really revolutionized over the past 10, 20 years. And we're really looking for very specific skill sets to fill each individual job. Before, it was kind of like almost a Peter principle, where if somebody was here long enough, they would ultimately rise to whatever specific position that somebody else vacated, that was above them. Now, we're very deliberate and intentional about finding the skill sets that can help drive our business and, again, set that course for, strategic growth.
Your comments lead to an interesting question. I've watched Braves baseball and seen you watching the game. Are you watching the game the same way we are, where you're worried about the runner on second? Are you looking at all the other things that are going on that under your responsibility?
Well, look, I think working in this business, you get the benefit of being at a lot of games, and it's not a prerequisite, but we're gigantic fans of our team, of our sport. But when I look at the business, or we'll look at the games, I'm obviously cheering on whatever specific play might be happening at that given time. But I am thinking about everything around us, right? Before the game, welcoming in, hopefully a sold-out ballpark, 40,000 people here, and all of the things that it takes to operate that ballpark and to manage it. And we have a lot of things going on. It's, as I said, it's a really complex business at the end of the day, and we've grown up a lot over the past 10 years, especially as we've moved to Truist Park. I mean, this business is in effect doubled once we moved to Truist Park, and with that doubling, we also doubled the amount of employees that we have. So I think about what every employee is doing, how they're approaching their job, how we're doing on any given day or any given week, and just trying to be inspirational as we do that.
If you look at the Braves, they're considered by many one of the gold standard franchises, along with the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Cubs, wherever the franchisee's favorite team is. What kind of responsibility and what's it mean to be looked at that way, and what do you have to do every day to maintain that? Because clearly, particularly recently, the Braves are looked at as one of the, if not one of the top 2 or 3 franchises in MLB.
Yeah. When you think about a professional sports team, just as a little bit of background, there's really 2 sides to it, right? There's the baseball operations side, and then there's the business operations side. The gold standard comment, I think, is an organization that works together and builds real operational support for each side of that business. I can have the greatest impact on the business operations side because I don't go out and scout players or sign players, or certainly don't go out and play the game on the field. But there's a lot of impact that I can have on the business operations side that supports what we do in baseball. So thinking about it simplistically, my goal is to try to drive the business as good as it can be, drive as much revenue for that, so that we can field the most competitive team each and every year. And that business, as I said, has evolved significantly. So how we go about doing that is different today in many cases than it was 5, 10 years ago. So there's also a constant drive towards innovation in our business. And you don't normally think about that word innovation with professional team sports. We were actually recently awarded one of the most innovative and the most innovative Major League Baseball team by a company that studies that type of thing, which I was really, really proud of. Because again, I think it was a testament to what we're trying to do here, which is constantly innovate the business, constantly propel it forward, try to drive revenue. And we do have a focus towards fan engagement and fan experience, which is part of the reason why we built this ballpark. So all of that kind of relates together and hopefully sustains a good product on the field and off the field each and every year.
And I don't think people recognize that the Braves, and I don't even know this except preparing for this, are the longest continually operating professional sports franchise.
Yeah, over 150 years. We just celebrated our 150th year last season. Won the World Series in that, obviously, so that was kind of a cool cherry on top. But we started in Boston, played a number of years in Boston, moved to Milwaukee, and then in 1966 moved from Milwaukee to Atlanta. So we've been in Atlanta since '66 and have actually played in 3 different facilities in that time. And each one of those facilities and the approach to those has also been an innovation towards our business, going from a multi-purpose facility in Atlanta, Fulton County to what was an Olympic stadium that got converted to our ballpark after that. And then, 5 years ago, we moved from Turner Field to what is now Truist Park. And again, part of the vision for Truist Park was not just a ballpark, but also a mixed-use development. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but we thought about fan engagement being one of the key tenets for why we did that. We wanted a better fan experience. And then that we thought was going to drive our business better, which is exactly what's happened.
All of the success is happening. We're in this amazing new facility, but you also went through the COVID experience here in Truist Park in a live event business.
Yeah.
What was that like for you guys?
It was frightening. In many ways, beyond just the health issues, obviously, trying to figure out how you run, to your point, a live event business. Our business is driven by having 40,000 people gather 81 times a year plus. So when you have COVID and there's significant limitations on the ability to do that, and in fact, when we restarted as a sport, as many people saw, we started without any fans. We just played the games, partly because we wanted to keep the season up. We wanted to try to deliver the product to our fans, obviously via radio and television as opposed to just live. And it was really, really eerie. I mean, there was about, beyond the players and the coaches and staff that support the clubhouse, there was about 5 or 6 people in the ballpark. It was just crazy. Now, you fast forward another year, go into last year, 2021, and people remember when we started that year, that calendar year, in January, February, COVID was still very much, part of our everyday lives. I guess it is all day, every day today, but still there was most communities were still shut down. And so we had no idea whether we were going to open up or when we were going to open up for fans. And one of the things that I think was a defining element of our success is that we keyed on trying to keep the relationships that we had with our customers, our fans, being things like ticket buyers, ticket holders, season ticket holders, our corporate partners. We really doubled down and reinforced those relationships. And we listened, especially to people like corporate partners who rely upon having fans in the attendance. Like, what did they want? How do they want to come back from COVID? What's important to them? Their advertising mix may have changed. And I think the driving of the relationship helped us as we did open up and ultimately welcome fans back in. And that gave us maybe a more of a sense of ability to open and welcome fans back in. And as you pointed out, we finished with the second highest attendance in baseball, behind only the Dodgers, who have 10,000 more seats than us. So really proud of that. That's catapulted it to this year, where we'll have close to 3 million, maybe even over 3 million fans come.
So Derek, last year, and in terms of events you'll never forget where you were, for me, when it happened, the Braves won the World Series. The question I've been wanting to ask you is can you just talk about that experience and tell that story?
It was fantastic. So I've been with the Braves for a little over 17 years. We've been to the postseason many times, but this is the first World Series. First time we've made it, first time we've won it since back in '95, and I wasn't with the team in '95. It was exhilarating. But when you think about postseason from my perspective, our perspective as somebody who runs the team, it's really a whole nother season and all this additional planning and work that you have to do. Now, you're very happy to do it, of course, right? But there's a lot that comes with it and a lot of new territory for us. So I think one of the things that we really emphasized during that period of time is really over communicate with each other as an organization. And we were really making decisions quickly. One of the things that was enabled us to have the success that we did and take advantage of the success on the field is that we were in a position to make decisions quickly. So as we won it, as an example, and we're all cheering and celebrating, and hopefully everybody watching was doing that with us, right? We were already thinking about what that next step was. So for us, that was planning a parade, planning a big event here at Truist Park, and there was a lot that went into that. Think about it. We planned what ended up being 2 parades, one in downtown Atlanta, midtown Atlanta, and one here in Cobb County, and then a third event that was 40,000 people here with all kinds of music and things like that. So we designed 3 events in a span of 48 hours, and each of the parades had, in total, probably close to 1 million, maybe 1.5 million people. So that was extremely complex, but so fun. And I look back on it, and it just brings a smile to all our faces. We got world championship rings out of that. We do this thing where, and it's not Friday today, but we do World Championship Ring Friday. So all our staff who got awarded rings, we wear rings on Friday and kind of remember all of the fun that we had. But now we're ready to do it again. I mean, now that you've tasted it, you want to do it again.
And I guess if there was one to be negative, we lost Hank Aaron last year. And talk a little bit about what he meant to Braves, to the organization, and to you. Yeah,
first of all, I'll start off. He was a dear friend of mine. He actually shared an office wall here. He was on the other side of that wall there. And so I got a chance to develop a really close relationship with Hank and Billy, and think the world of him and the work that they as a couple did in this community. And really around the world. I mean, he's a worldwide ambassador of not only the sport of baseball and the Braves, but really of championing, whether it's civil rights causes or even business entrepreneurship. For those people that know Hank Aaron's career, he had almost a successful career off the field once he was done playing baseball, doing many different businesses as he did on the field. I think there's a lot of ways that he inspired us and propelled us to winning that World Series last year. We had a big 44 painted in the outfield. He was on our minds each and every day and on the minds of our players. And in fact, so much so that ring that I was talking about has many different aspects of it that were designed as an ode to him. We have 755 diamonds that are on the top of that ring representing his home run total. There's 44 emerald cut rings representing his jersey number, and a few other things. So it's bittersweet. It's emotional to think about it, but we're continuing his legacy with many things, including this Henry Louis Aaron Fund that we started to champion some of the legacy, some of the issues that he was so passionate about during his time here.
And I'll tell my story now since Jeff told his. Pre-COVID, I was on a flight to Washington, D.C., which I used to do on a regular basis, and I was flying enough then that I was fortunate enough that Delta had decided to give me a first-class seat. So I was on the last row, sitting next to the window, waiting for the plane to board so we could take off, and the seat next to me sat empty, and right before they closed the boarding door, a gentleman by the name of Hank Aaron sat next to me. And I didn't know what to do. It took me about 20 minutes to get the courage to even say hello to him. But I will tell you, for the next hour of that flight, he was the kindest man and was so willing to talk to me and share time with me. I don't remember anything we talked about. But I remember this, that when people ask me about that, I say, what I learned in that hour is that as great a baseball player as he was, he's a better person.
Yes.
And I'll never forget that. And you mentioned the Henry Louis Aaron Fund.
Yes.
Which, when we saw what it meant and what it did, Jeff and I are going to make a donation on behalf of Padgett to that fund because it speaks to him as a person, as a ball player, but it also speaks to the kind of customers that we've had for our company for years. So as a way of thanking you for spending time with us today and thank everything that Hank has done, we're going to be pleased to make a corporate donation today to that fund.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. And to your point, he was a gentleman, very much so, first and foremost. And I love the fact that story represents who he was. He treated every single person with dignity and respect, no matter who you were, somebody sitting on the plane or some superstar or president, whoever he might have met in his life. So we are very honored to have that, and we'll do our best to try to support all his legacy with that.
Thank you.
Well, and just an ask to our franchisees, we're going to provide a link when we distribute the video and ask you to make a donation to the fund as well on behalf of Padgett. There are many different causes that we're inspired by, including the support of minority-owned small businesses, which I know is a very important cause for Hank Aaron. So if you would be so inclined, we'd appreciate that as well from our franchisees.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody.
Yeah, and thank you. This has been a blast, and so cool to meet you, and I appreciate you having us here in your office. And this. I mean, first thing I noticed when I walked in here, I got chills.
It's a nice backdrop, don't you think?
Yeah.
We're going to try to add a second one for next time we do this.
There's going to be 2 next year. Thank you so much. Great to meet you. Thank you for being here and paying attention. We appreciate you, and we'll see you at the summer meeting and down the road.
Thanks, Derek. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys. Glad you're here.
Thanks.